Hello and welcome to hobby vlog number 258. Back to it, 2 weeks in a row, pretty pleased about it. Managed to get a bit of hobbying done. As is traditional, I am recording this before editing, so I don't know exactly how long the video is going to be, but I do know I got into the hobby room a few times and I'm pretty pleased with the progress I've made on a couple of projects I've started and have worked on. So let's get back to the Reaper challenge. So last week I painted up 2 miniatures. I'll pop some pictures of those on the screen now so you can have a look at it, and the painting videos for those will be out tomorrow on An Average Painter if you want to check out how I did it. Had a lot of fun doing those, so thank you to everyone that voted, and that moves me on to what I'm going to paint this week. So this week I'm going to paint Sheriff Drumfasser even, Sheriff Drumfasser, which looks like quite a cool fun miniature. So that's going to be good fun. So again, thank you to everyone that voted last week. And now moving on the screen now is the list of miniatures that are available to you to pick for this week. And there's also, I keep forgetting to say, in the description of this video, in the Sigmar or whatever, there are links to each of these miniatures. So if you're not sure which one you want to pick, you can go into the description, click through to the Reaper website and see exactly what the miniature looks like. And what I want to say is last week had all sorts of comments, loads and loads of comments, which was absolutely lovely, really inspirational. Thank you ever so much to everyone that welcomed me back. But quite a lot of people didn't vote for the miniature. So I ended up only having about 7 votes, I think, or 9 votes, which isn't as many as I normally get. So if you are leaving a comment, just take a second to pop your vote down of the miniature that you want me to paint. It's really cool. It helps me, inspires me, and yeah, you might get to win one of them. So anyway, I'm not going to ramble on too much in this intro. I'm going to get cracking onto the video and onto the hobbying I've done. I really hope you enjoy this video. Let me know what you think in the comments and do that vote, and I'll see you again at the end. Alright, so let's start this off, as I always do, by having a quick look at these miniatures. We're going to try and get painted up this week. So first of all, we've got Molly Copper Pot. There we go. So Molly Copperpot looks like a bit of a halfling rogue, potentially. That's going to be quite fun to paint, I think. And secondly, we have Mondane the Archleech. So let's get into this box. And this is going to be a little bit more fun. There's going to be some assembly required. Hopefully it stays together better than the chained succubus did. Wow. So that's quite a cool model, but it's going to be quite interesting working out what's flash and what's not. So there is some flash, which I'll have to clear off. And I think I'm probably going to have to go and have a look at the picture of this one. It's got an awesome base as well. So yes, I'm going to have to go and look at the picture, work out how to assemble that. And all that stuff. But as always, you know what I'm going to say. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to get this into hot soapy water, give it a scrub, let it dry, and then I'll assemble it, and I'll show you how this goes together. Maybe I'll do a little bit more clips on this than I normally do, how Mondane goes together. But yeah, we'll see what that looks like, and finally bring it back when it's all primed and ready for painting. So yeah, let's get cracking. Let's try and keep on keeping on, try and keep this momentum going. See how well I can finish these 2 in this week. Well, this is all now dried. You can see that there's still some white spotting on the base, but I'm not going to focus on the base initially. I've got my chocolate brown, and what I'm going to focus on initially is just very easily, not worrying too much about getting full coverage at all. Get an initial brownish kind of coating on the trees, and these will then, I'll then bring these lighter and lighter, put some moss on it and what have you, and finish off the trees before I work on the grass. That's my idea, really, on the floor, on the ground. So yeah, so just gonna, I've nearly done it already. It's a very quick process. Slap some of this paint on, then I'll find another colour, or maybe mix one up. Put a bit of cream in this and make it lighter and lighter, because I want them to be, get some greys in there as well. Just build up the textures using colour, and see how that looks when it's finished, or see how it looks and
make my decision when it's finished. So yeah, nice and simple to do these trees. I really like the effect you get with the, sorry, cover my microphone then. I really like the effect you get with the air dry clay and a little bit of paint around a simple tube. It's a very effective technique. So yeah, that's that colour done. So I'll let that dry and I'll come along and get it more and more grey and creamy and all that stuff. I'll bring you along when I get to the next colour. That's how long it takes to paint 2 simple trees. I hope this is going to show out okay, because I've got a little bit of the sun coming in and it's a bit difficult to get this lit right. But what you can see here is I printed out the picture of what this is supposed to be, and I'm working at lining it up and getting it so I can start to glue. So basically you have these 3 pieces. This is the head part, this is the body part, and that goes in under there. And then at some point after that's glued, I'm going to glue this first, get this all secure. Then this will attach, and that, I believe, goes on something like this over here. So you can see it's a bit fiddly. I'm not going to film myself doing the gluing because I don't think it's going to be very easy to do that. But once I've got this assembled, it should look something like that, I think. And then, as I say, we'll put the blast on, the magic blast on after. Now I'm umming and ahhing about painting that separately or gluing it on, so I'll make that decision as well. And then this mounts onto the base, and there is a spot on the base, so that's actually relatively obvious. There is a spot on the base where that goes, but I will be gluing these 2 pieces together first, I think. Let's get this done and I'll bring you back, show what it looks like when it's all assembled and primed. Right, so that's dried on quite nicely. So what I'm going to do now is just pat on some different colours, which is probably going to look a little bit violent when I first do it, but as we tie this together with more and more things, it'll start to make a little bit more sense. So this is quite a light colour, as you can see. And if you go out and look at trees in real life, you'll see that they are definitely not all brown. They have all sorts of different shades and mottlings to them. And that's what we're going to try to achieve on this. So yeah, a little bit of the lighter stuff there, like a beigey colour. And then I've got a darker one here. Which we can come in with, and immediately adds a little bit of interest. So what I'll do is I'm going to do this, get some different colours, got a bright green as well I want to use. A lot of these paints are drying out and getting old, but that's cool. Just means it gets a little bit more interest into the whole thing. And then what we'll do is a light dry brush over the top of grey to tie it all together, but I'll have to wait for all these different colours to dry because I'm almost blending now. I'm almost doing like a dry blend, so I'm not letting each one dry, so they're all melting together. So I don't know how well that's coming out on camera, but it really is starting to look good in real life. So I think I might actually leave that like that for now. Like I say, when that's dried, which won't take long, come along and do a dry brush, and I'll bring you along for that when I get to it. But what we're going to do now, I don't even know if this paint is still good. I'm off camera here trying to open a jar of paint, which I cannot open. So I'm going to get this jar of paint open, if I can, and I'll come back and we'll have a look and see whether we can use this. But looking at it, I think it's separated out. Can you see how that's got white on the bottom now? Can I get that to mix? Yeah, might be able to, because this is PVA and water and paint. There we are, how about that? Ha! And look at what's on the top is the inside of the jam jar lid. Look at that. The inside of the jam jar lid has kind of disintegrated onto it. So I'm going to need to get my knife and lift that off so it doesn't fall into the paint. And then what I'm going to try and do is work on the ground. That's hilarious. I'm going to work on the ground. So I'll get myself set up. I'll bring you back in a second to show you what I'm going to do there. All right, I haven't done this for a while. But what we're going to do is going to take this paint, slap it on, and it's going to work as I didn't mean to put it in there. That's where one of the feet is. Oh, well, never mind, it'll be fine. It's going to work to glue down some sand to make a little bit of texture, over the top of which I will then put more paint and glue, seal it all down, and then we'll work on some grass. So this is probably, I probably shouldn't be trying to use something this old, but hey, it'll be an experiment and we'll learn together. I'm not too worried about getting a completely perfect covering because life isn't perfect. So I'll get all this down and throw some sand on it and hope it dries, and then seal it with some glue tomorrow. It's a bit sloppy, this. Not really working how I wanted it to, but anyway. We've got sand just out of shot. This is just normal builder's sand that I've sifted up. Let's cover it over like so. You'll notice I put some newspaper down to catch it. And then what I can do is empty it back in like so. And you can see, you can't see the colour at all anymore, so it was completely pointless me doing that. And also you can't see where the feet are going to go. So what I'm going to do is actually use my model again just to clear those holes out. Like that. There we are. And that'll look really good. So I've got the final last back portion here just to put some sand on, and I'll let that dry, and then once that's dry I'll come over and seal it with some PVA and some more paint to give it the colour, and then we'll work on the grass. But yeah, I think I'm gonna throw this jam jar away. I don't think this paint is worth trying to save. As you can see, it's lumpy and separated, but whatever. If it helps to hold down the sand, it's doing its job. Need to wash that as well. Look how minging that is. Ugh. Right, a little bit more sand. Like so. Empty that back into the bucket. Like so. And there we have it. There we have it indeed. Texture down. So I'm going to tidy this up, leave it to dry, and I'll come back and bring you through the next steps tomorrow. This is dried on. It's really secure, really secure. So what I'm going to do now is come along with my modelling compound and do the bottom of it. So it's a nice simple process to do modelling compound, and I'm not going to go over and over and over it because I've gone over and over and over it on the channel many times. But basically put a bit into a pot like this, mix it up, slap it on, make sure that you don't get it too wet, because then you'll have to add more compound, and you only want to work in small batches in my experience in this, because it does go off quite quickly. Not very quickly, but quickly enough that if you have too much it can be annoying and you can find yourself rushing So yeah, mix it up to a nice consistency, whatever you want that consistency to be. Having said don't get it too wet, I have got it too wet. Unfortunately, not a lot too wet, so I can just put a little bit more in just to soak that up. And then I will apply that around the base of the tree, let that to go off, and then we'll come in and paint it. This is going to be quite a quickly finished thing, I think. So I'm going to come along here and just cover over the base. This will do a couple of things. It will give a slightly more uneven finish, which means it looks a little bit more realistic, because the world is not perfectly round and perfectly flat in many places. I mean, it is in some, I'm sure, but not in many. But it'll also just make it a little more hard wearing than just a paper plate. It's going to be a little bit flimsy, and this will make that more solid. So I'll get this done, get this all finished. I'll bring you back when it's dried, and we're going to do the next step. Shouldn't take too long. And should be back onto this again tomorrow, I hope. It's good to be back to hobbying, though my motivation is still dramatically low. I'm just forcing myself to stick at it. Right, I'm going to carry on with this, and I'll bring you back in the next step when I get to it. So this one's a different type of memory board. Here are all of the tags I put on presents for Rosie this year. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put them on this strange frame thing that I found, and then I'm going to hang it on the wall, and it's just going to be a memory at home of finally getting time with Rosie at Christmas this year. So hopefully this is going to work well. You can see I've got bells. She loved that. She loved these so much. I've got bells, and I've got all sorts of things going on here. This one is attached together with sellotape, so I probably can peg it in place like that. Because I don't have all that many of these pegs, so I need to, any that can combine together would be a good idea. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hang this up in the lounge so I can look at it every day. So I'll get this done, get these pegged on, and then when that's done, I'll show you what it looks like. Hopefully it's going to look great. I'm sure it will. My cuddly Rosie. That was the she used when she was younger, and still she loved draft excluders, and I found her a puppy draft excluder. Anyway, I'll get on with this, and I'll show you what it looks like when it's finished. Well, there we are. I just had enough pegs, and I think that looks lovely. So I'll get that hung on the wall, and I'll get a picture or another clip when it's been done, when it's hung, and show what it looks like. But yeah, there we are. I'm happy I've got that done. I've been looking at it for a little while. Well, there we are. I've got these assembled. Well, obviously, that didn't take much assembling, but this did. This was a bit of a pain, but I did manage to get it done. It's a bit fiddly. It's a bit. It's not something you're going to want to be gaming with. I would have said you'd easily knock it and break it, but it looks awesome. I'm loving how it looks. I'm really excited to get it painted. So I'm going to go down now. It's early morning. Going to go and get a start on that. Try and get that done this week. And yeah, I'll bring it back and show what it looks like when it's finished. So thank you ever so much for everyone that voted. And don't forget to vote this week so that you can pick the one that I'll paint next. So or next after actually, because yeah. So yeah, I will bring this back when it's done. I'll show you what it looks like. Well, I've had a quick look at this, and yeah, I think I'm going to make a bit of a start on it. I don't know how quickly I'll assemble it or whatever, but I'm going to make a start on it. So first of all, the actual it's a tortoise. The tortoise is relatively easy to put together. So you can see that they're going to glue that in there, and then the shell is going to go on over the top, like so. And that's really cool. I mean, it is a really cool sculpt. of course, first thing I'm going to need to do is wash these. But I was having a look at the actual metal miniatures, and it's a very, very soft metal. So some of these I've already straightened, but then I realised, you know what, I should probably show how they come out the box and not completely straighten them up. So you can see that one's needs to be straightened up, and some of them were almost bent in half. So you can see this particular one, and I promise I've not touched these are just how they've come out the box. That one's just basically straightened in half. So you need to be very careful. That one's so bent that I probably will wait until I wash it, get it into hot water, and then straighten it once it's warmed up. This one looks like it's a pretzel. It's bent into all sorts of shapes. So just be aware of that. But they are cool looking miniatures. So I'll pull all of the little figures out to show you what you get. So you get all those figures. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 there. And then this is the howdah, and I believe the way this works, and I did get this working, it was a little bit misshapen. I have actually played with this a bit, had to do a bit of bending and a bit of pressing, but that will press on top, and it actually does quite a nice press fit. Of course you will glue it, but it press fits into place quite nicely. And then you've got this as well. Now I'm going to need to look at the pictures to work out exactly where everything goes, but this is another one that press fits in. Then you've got some guns, and these are in 2 parts. So you've got the actual gun piece, and you've got the kind of like frame that it sits on. So there's 2 of those, and I think those go into the little holes that you've got at the end of this piece. So that's like that, and I'm not sure whether that might not go across. I think that goes across here, looking at it. I think that goes across. Yeah, there we are, we're starting to work it out. So that goes across the top of that howdah. And then the other things that we've got is we've got a banner here, and we've got the shells of the tortoises that that go on the back of our little figures here. So that will go on the back like that, for example. So that's what you get, and then there's just other bits of sprue in that, what have you. So I'll get that. Oh, and this dude, just to say, this dude must be the get it in shot. This dude must be the leader. Look at his impressive feather. That's the word I was looking for. Feather on his hat. Yeah. So I'll get those washed up now, scrubbed up in hot water, so that they prime correctly. I'm probably going to need to stick these onto a tongue depressor as well before I paint them, so that I can got something to hold. So I'll show you how that's done. I've not done that for a little while on the channel. So I'll get these washed up, get these prepared, show you what they look like, and then I'll take them down and paint them up for an average painter vlog. So that'll be good. But yeah, really cool, really happy to have managed to pick this up. It's really awesome, and thanks again, Alexi, for putting me onto it. Really, really cool. And it is the next day, and I have some watered down PVA. And what I'm going to do is put that over the top, because if you look closely you can see that, as feared, using that terribly clumpy mixed paint was a bad idea. And it hasn't stuck at all, really. So we're going to seal it down with a heavy dose of watered down PVA, and after that I'll come in with some fresh paint and get the colour over the top. So there we are. You can see lots of it's falling off, a bit frustrating, but it will seal in. It will seal in with this layer of PVA, watered down PVA, so that will lock it all in place. Right, I'll get this done, and I'll bring you back for the next step when I get to it. Right, that's dried on really nice and solidly now, which is what I should have done in the first place. And what we're going to do now is, I've got the same colour, but this is just coming straight out of the pot. So no glue mixed in with this or anything like that. So it's nice and fresh. And I really like this reddy brown for doing like a clay soil colour. I think it's really good. So I'm just going to paint this over the whole of the sandy area, and then when that's dried we'll come along and start doing some grass, some static grass and things, and we're rapidly approaching done on this, which is really cool because it's sat on my bench for such a long time not being touched. The other benefit of doing this ready brown is it's going to contrast nicely to the colour of the trees that I've put in. And also I'm using a lot of water to water it down, so I still get some of the sandiness coming through as well. So it's not going to be like just, I'm not trying to paint it as a solid colour, because, well, nature isn't solid colours, is it? So there we are, that's nearly done. Once this is dried, we'll come back, we'll do some static grass work on this. Static grass is good because it's quite a large scale. Obviously it's not a small scale one. If it's small scale you might just use flock or whatever, but with a large scale you want to have static grass really, so you get some height. And there we are. Coming on nicely, this. Coming on nicely, let that dry. Well, the other day we did finally get the chance to play a few rounds of the Hamlet, the village building game, and while we did only play a few rounds, we didn't bother worrying about XP or anything like that. I must admit, my first impressions were very, very good. I think there's a really good game here, and I really wish we could find some time to play it again, and I hope that I'll be able to play this again soon. I'm going to tidy up now because it's been sat on the table and we've been eating around it, which isn't ideal. I'll do one more little clip about how the insert works and how I'm going to organise it so it's easy to bring to the table again, because it did take a little bit of time to bring it to the table initially, but I think that now that it's organised we should be able to do that quite quickly, and I'll show you what my plans are on that. But basically it's got a lot of strategy. You can see there's a lot of depth to it, and you can see that there'll be a lot of fun in working out what the best strategy is, and if that best strategy actually works every time or not. So yeah, it's a fun game. I think I really can recommend it, and if you're looking for a game for not necessarily for hardened gamers, but just you and your family can play, jump out and get it. I do believe you can buy this. You don't have to go to Kickstarter. I think it is for sale generally, but yeah, or get a copy second hand. Really can, I think I can recommend this quite a lot. So there we are. Tidy this up now, and I'll come back with a quick clip showing you how I've organised it into the box. Right, it's actually taken me a little bit longer than I thought it would, because I opened up the By the Lake expansion, and that came with the wooden church. So if you have a look here, this is the cardboard church which we tried to put together for our game. It's really, really clever, but the stickiness doesn't stick. So I've put the stickers on. What I've done is I've packaged together all the yellows, all the greens, all the reds and all the blues to put into these areas here, which I think is correct. Again, these came with, I believe, replacement parts for what's already in there, but I'm not going to go through that now. I've also combined the By the Lake stuff into this, so you can see we've got the fish, we've got the stool, I've got the fishing boats and the little fish, what have yous, so that's there. Each of the tiles go into each of these boxes nicely here, and I'm not totally sure, I've kept them, but I've got a whole set of punch out cards here that appear to duplicate what I already had in the base game. So I'll pop those into the By the Lake box just so I don't lose them, and that will be, you know, it's not a big box, so I'm going to take up a lot of space, but that packs away really nicely. So then you put these on top here, your scoreboard, what have you, get all your rules and booklets on top here, which should fit nicely. And then last but not least, we can put the box on. This is not very easy to do this one-handed and film and make it not look terrible. So I'm not on the tripod. There we are, done it. And there we have nicely packed away the village building game. So I'm pretty pleased about that. I hope to get it out again soon. I've got a very little amount of waste here to throw away, which I don't need. I'm probably going to bin these as well, there's no point in keeping them. But yeah, highly recommend this game, and hopefully I'm going to get it to the table again, and if I do, I'll tell you about it. Well, here we are, I've got these painted, and I'm pretty happy with how they came out. So she was really easy, was Molly. But Mondane, goodness me, that was a pain. So I broke about 8 times while I was painting it. I ended up painting the magic thing separate from the rest of the miniature and then gluing it on right at the end. But I'm pretty pleased with the results. Pretty happy with how it looks, and really like the idea I had for the base. So yeah, quite happy with them, and the painting video for these will come out towards lunchtime on Monday. So go and check that out if you're interested. And yeah, I will be painting another lot next week. So I'm glad to be back into the habit and getting back into the routine of doing this. And here we are. I've got it up on the wall in my lounge. I took down all the other pictures because, yeah, frankly, don't want to see her face. I'll be replacing them with pictures of Rosie and me and Rosie together. And this is the memory of Christmas just past, which occurred in January, mid-January. But yeah, really like how that looks. That was exactly the right frame to buy, and yeah, now I'll never forget. And Rosie can see it when she's older as well, and hopefully she will love that too. Well, the next step for this is to paint the base black. So I've left this a little while, a few days, just while I've been umming and ahhing as to what technique I was going to use on this. And I'm going to go with actually what I thought about doing when I was putting the modelling compound on. This section that I'm painting right now, I'm going to do as rock. You can see I've done a little bit of a kind of steeper area. And that means that starting off on the black isn't the worst of ideas. Now, a lot of people say, well, rocks aren't black, but what we're doing here is we're building the shadows in. So the deep parts, the dark parts, and then I'll come along and we'll put a grey mix over the top, and then we'll come along with lots and lots of different colours and dry brush where the rocks are. And then after that I can come along with browns and what have yous, and put some do the grass over the top of some dirt. So we're going to build this up as naturally as we possibly can. Now, the other thing you'll notice is I'm staying a little bit away from the edge of from the tree. That's because I really don't want to get any black paint on the tree. I'll come along probably after I film this clip and do that with a smaller brush so I can get a little bit more accurate and not risk accidentally painting the tree. So don't take long, and it's already dry, as you can see. It's the other thing to say, when you're working with modelling compound, it's very thirsty, so it pulls the moisture out of the paint very quickly, which is awesome because it means that you can work fast. You don't have to wait much for it to have drying time because it pretty much dries instantly. So yeah, so I'm going to get this done. As I say, I'll come in and do the detail bits near the tree with a different brush, and bring you back when I'm about to start doing the next colour. So I'll do that off camera because I'll be wanting to pick it up and move it around and do all sorts of things that will make it impossible to paint. Back in a bit. Alright, this is looking really good, and it's dried really nicely, and I really like the variation that we've got here in all the colours. So I'm really pleased with it. So what I'm going to do now is work on some static grass. So I've got 4 different types of static grass that I'm using at the moment. Spring, summer, autumn and dead. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to try and do some kind of a blend here. So I'm going to do darker ones under the trees and lighter ones out here where it's obviously getting a little bit more sun. So the first thing I'm going to do is with dead static grass, I'm just going to put a few patches around the base of the tree. Now I don't want to go too overboard because, as I say, I really like the effect I've got with the oops, that wasn't what I wanted to do. I really like the effect that I've got with the kind of floor, the dirt texture. But we shall see. So I have my static grass applicator, which I hope the battery still works in. I haven't touched this for a very long time. I haven't touched anything for a very long time. Yep, light still goes on. So what we're going to do is put a little bit of dead static grass inside the applicator. So I keep my grass in these little clip boxes, which works really well. I've got some spring in there already, so dump that out. Not that it really matters. So yeah, so put some dead static grass in here. Now I do have a smaller applicator, which might have been a better idea for getting in close to these trees, but we're going to see whether this is going to work or not. And what I'll do is I will speed up, just do a time lapse after this application, showing you how it goes as I do all of the different colours. So, but first of all, put a little bit of this grabby glue, as I call it. Not grabby glue, sticky glue. This is from World Scenics, a fast tack glue, which is really good for this. And what I normally do is lay down a bead and then just smush it out a bit so it's not quite so proud. And you can always add more. Then with the static grass applicator turned on, you can see I've got paper underneath to catch the mess. What we do, and yeah, I think I should have used the smaller applicator. I'm not going to be able to get in. I might need to switch to the smaller applicator for this. Otherwise it's not going to stand up. And it's going to make a right mess. So I think after this I might move to the smaller applicator. But yeah, what we're going to do is we're going to dust on our static grass, like so. There's no point in actually having the applicator, I could have just done this with a pinch. And then, I think the battery's dying as well, I need to change the battery. And then we shake that off, give it a good tap. Like so. And we have some static grass there around the base of the trees. So what I'm going to do, a couple of things. I'm going to swap over to the smaller applicator. I'm just going to then tidy up the this dead static grass. I'll reapply this with the small one, and I'll put the this all onto a time lapse, and I'll get all the static grass, and you'll see me picking different colours and blending it in. And I'll be back. Well, I'll be back in a minute on time lapse, and I'll be back talking when that's finished.
Swagger down the street with your red lips and funky beat. You better hold your head up to the sky. I'm gonna roll with you till the day I die. Hey, swing those hips around. Can't stop, roll back down. My ladies, short, tall, thin or wide, always down and ready to ride. One by one, billion by billion, been holding up half the sky. Raise your hand if you're ready and willing, if you know it's time. Time for a girl on time. Time for a girl on time. Time for a girl on time. Whether you're ready or not. Time for a break free of history. This train is racing straight ahead.
Well, there we are, that took about 10 minutes, and I'm really pleased with the effect and the results of that. Now, you did see that I did pull out my different, these are still from World Scenics, which I do like, but this is the detail one. It's really annoying because they haven't threaded this, so it just falls off, as you saw a couple of times. So when you're actually doing this, you need to be right down the bottom, holding onto the end, otherwise it will just fall off and you get really annoyed. But it works a little bit better when you're closer in, but you can see I moved to the larger one as I got to the bigger area, just because it's quicker. So I'm going to let that set. What I'll then do is seal it with some watered down PVA, and then we'll put the Dragon Rider in place, and we're pretty much done, which is quite cool. I am going to have fun taking off the masking tape, I'm sure, which I probably can actually look to do now, do a little bit of cleaning up. You can see there's some stuck on sand. Just need to make sure that doesn't happen where it's torn. I might do this off camera so that I can get in with a scalpel on these side bits here where it's getting stuck, and then I can kind of clean up the edge. And my thinking is that once I've done this, I'm going to paint the edge black. So once this is finished, and maybe before I put the rider on, once this is all done, I'll paint the edge black. Maybe mask along the top here, just paint the edge black just to kind of really neaten it up and make it look nice. But we're getting somewhere on this now. Pretty pleased with it. I'm going to let that to set, let that to dry, and I'll be back to it a bit later on. Well, there we are. I got more done this week than I thought I had, which was cool. It was nice to play a game and to do the extra bits and pieces there. We're just actually preparing to play a little bit of role-playing later today, which is going to be fun, hopefully. So looking forward to that. And yeah, I'll probably report on that next week, because there will be a vlog next week, but not the week after or the week after that, which is how it's going to go. But what that does mean is that this week, if you vote for miniature during this week, then you will be entered into the draw to potentially win one of the miniatures that I paint from Reaper. I don't send you my painted miniatures, I send you a new one, to make that clear. So don't forget to make a comment below with your pick from this week. The options are on screen now, and then whichever one wins, I'll paint the following week. That was a bit rambly, a bit confused. I'm a little bit scatterbrained now. I'm tired, I've been up for a long time. So I'm going to wrap this up. I really hope that you enjoy the video. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And everyone, please do stay healthy, stay safe, and stay well.